Welcome to Speaking Cinema, series movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast coming to you live from a half pipe in my backyard in Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Took it all the way from the valley on your skateboard.
Listen to us Jibber Jabber every single Monday. Follow us on social media. Hit us up on Tinder, FetLife, OkCupid, or just send me a dick pic on Twitter. We are Speaking Cinema. We like to talk about a movie, then we will watch that movie, and we'll have a discussion on it now that we have seen it. Old, new, cult, mainstream, good, bad, clean, dusty. We watch it all, love it all, hate it all, eat it all.
Y'all love those dusty movies.
You know,
Like a 70s porn. Dusty.
go on.
It always looks like a vacuum cleaner just exploded. in a
Oh,
70s
yeah.
porn.
Not checking that gate.
It's just dusty and hairy.
I am your host, leather-clad outlaw rebel on a useless wooden toy, Mr. Jibber Jabber. Here with me today, as always, my neon-clad, sleeveless shirt, red and yellow knee pad wearing rival, Kevin.
Whoa. Pads.
Daggers.
Daggers!
Here with us today, fresh off the bus from Indiana, is Christy.
Hello.
What's going on? A new addition to the Jibber Jabber. Welcome to the Jibber
Your
Jabber.
first episode.
First
First episode,
ever.
and what a film we have chosen for you. Before we get into it, would you like to elaborate on your relationship to us, Christy?
I am dating the wonderful Kevin.
Dating Kevin.
Wonderful. Did you hear that, everybody?
Oh,
Wonderful.
Revelations.
Yeah.
Which is how I met you.
Yeah.
Through
Right.
Kevin. And,
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of Gone with the Wind, this time on the Jibber Jabber, a very special episode. Hot, reckless, and totally insane. 1986's Thrashin'.
Wow!
Directed by David Winters, written by Paul Brown and Alan Sachs, starring Josh Brolin, Robert Russler, and Pamela Gidley. Produced by Winters Hollywood Entertainment Holdings Corporation. Distribution, Freaks Entertainment. Movie currently owned by MGM. If you were to believe the packaging on the DVD, which had a little MGM logo.
Yep. It's got the MGM logo, the MGM intro in the beginning. It shows such classic movies as Great Escape, Silence of the Lambs, and then you get to watch
And then you watch
Thrashin'.
that. Yes. If you are not familiar, two skateboard gangs battle each other for supremacy, and a member of one gang falls in love with the sister of his rival. That came from IMDb.
But it also came from history, because that is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, if
in
you
a nutshell.
if you were to categorize this movie as Romeo and Juliet on a skateboard, that would be highly accurate.
Very accurate.
Bit of background: Alan Sachs made a movie with Joan Jett, got a write-up in the LA Weekly. Split the page with what? Obviously, skate rock, the subgenre of rock and roll music that incorporates skateboarding. DRI, The Faction. These are the only two skate rock bands that I
the
know.
only ones that made it.
So he was upset because he wanted a full page. Kind of seems like a in the behind the scenes. Our boy Alan was just he seems like kind of a Hollywood type.
He is Hollywood 101.
Right.
Like, no question about it.
Like, why didn't I get a full page in LA Weekly? I should have gotten a full page.
Yep.
So he read this article on skateboarding, thought that you could make a movie about skateboarding. Spoiler alert, he was right. Then, so he bought a skateboard, started pitching to people. As the story goes, they took the concept, nothing written, of a skateboard Romeo and Juliet to the Cannes Film Festival, and the Freaks Entertainment, the guy, I guess his name, like Bob Freaks or whatever,
Yeah.
was able to pre-sell the movie with no script, no stars, no nothing, just on the concept, pre-sell the foreign and get all the money, raise all the money that way at Cannes.
That takes some chutzpah to pull that off.
Right.
To just put on a display and be like, I'm going to make this, and someone says I want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's some talent right there.
David Winters wanted Johnny Depp for the main role, got overruled. No Johnny
Ooh.
Depp, which is why Johnny Depp eventually made it into 21 Jump Street, which is, I guess, David Winters produced. So
Makes
he was none too pleased with having to give up Johnny Depp for this movie.
And that was kind of a pre-fame Johnny Depp, too. I mean, he was in about Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's about it.
Indeed.
So.
You know, we could say more things about Thrashin', but really nothing matters, just the work itself, right? And as of this recording, you can find this movie on Blu-ray and DVD.
They got a Blu-ray, huh? I wasn't able to find the Bluray.
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy it on
Yeah,
Amazon,
I'll buy it,
but no, Netflix It was on
Netflix only has the disc.
a shame. Also, MGM, get your fucking shit together and put this on iTunes and Amazon and Vudu and all those other things.
There's an audience out there.
They own
MGM.
They own a million. Apparently, MGM owns every shitty '80s movie that was ever made. You know, like from the gems of Weird Science to like the dregs of like some other random bullshit that you would never even know the name to.
Yeah.
And Thrashin deserves the full video on demand EST release.
I think so too.
These are facts. So normally I would start with, have we seen this movie? But in this case, I want to start a little bit differently, right?
Change the format here.
Just a smidge. So this movie's about skateboarding. When you were in elementary school or in high school and all that, was skateboarding cool?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Interesting.
And
Very cool.
Christy grew up in Southern California here. You probably most definitely saw some skateboarders.
Yeah, and those two factions. There were the badass punk rock rebelling against authority.
Outlaw rebels.
Yeah. Black Metallica t-shirt skateboarders, and then there were the dude, we can't be at the beach right now, so
Because the beach is closed?
let's be on the surfboard, because I'm at school.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, skate park right across the street from my high school.
Interesting.
But-
Good location for that or bad location for that?
I think good because, well,
Yeah.
for parents, you'd see your kids if they were ditching to be at the skate park.
And for kids, you could just go get your weed real quick.
You could,
Hop that fence, hop that other fence,
And then you were there.
and then you were there.
And it's like they're gonna do it, so you might as well just build the thing so that they can go do it, So, and then they're right by school. Responsibility.
So when I was in elementary school, I thought skateboarding was the coolest shit ever. Like, it was one of those things that, this is pre-internet, kids, so, like, you'd see it on TV, and you're like, what is this? You know what I mean? And I remember they were showing a Nickelodeon that had to do with skateboarding, and I remember, like, it was never fucking on.
Yeah.
And I was like, when is this show, that I don't know the name of it, about skateboarding gonna be on? You know what I mean? And there's no way to know what that show was called. There was no way to know when it was on. You just had to watch it, leave the channel on in the background, and just hopefully it comes up. Miserable. But I remember kids in my school were like, skateboarding is lame, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
It seemed pretty cool to me.
There was
they got skulls on everything. That's
There-
what I liked about it.
There was a kid who would, anytime he talked about skateboarders, he would always use, and I quote, they were always fag skateboarders.
Oh, boy.
Like, oh yeah, those fag skateboarders over there. I'm like, skateboarding? Where? You know what I mean? So by the time I got to high school, that's when I was able to like make friends who actually skateboarded and get into it.
Yeah.
So I skated in high school and stuff. I thought it was the coolest shit in the world. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, definitely a fan of that.
A damn classic. That whole franchise. So good.
Except for
After 3, it kind of peters out.
no, the whole franchise except for like the majority of it.
Those first 3, undisputed classics.
So did any of you ever ride on a skateboard?
I never.
A shred sled, if you will.
A shred sled. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Yeah. Yes, it is. No, I never did own a skateboard. I never got into it, but was always interested in the culture, the music that came out of it. Was again Tony Hawk Pro Skater introduced me to like Primus and Motorhead.
Yeah.
and just so many great bands. And but yeah, I never got into the actual sport. Just the idea behind it is what I was into.
Interesting.
I have attempted, but have terrible coordination, so can't actually move forward on them. I have stood on skateboards and moved while someone pushed me, but I was a rollerblader, so went the opposite direction, I
Yep.
guess. Two things on the ground.
Did you guys ever play skateboarding video games? I'm talking Skate or Die. I'm talking 720. I'm talking Thrasher Skate and Destroy. I'm talking Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yes, and yes. Throw in some 1080 snowboarding in there too.
That is not a skateboarding game.
Yeah, it's got similar things though. You do tricks, you grind on stuff. Skateboard shaped. Same culture.
I'm not gonna derail this podcast by disagreeing with you, but fair enough.
All right. But yeah, I mean, it was in that genre, I would say. But yes, Tony Hawk Pro Skater played that into oblivion. Horse was probably the greatest thing to play in that game. The horse mode was so good. As in, you're not riding a horse, you're playing horse.
I have played that game.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very small amounts because my brother was definitely the one who, that was his rental choice.
Yes.
So I got
smidges
Yeah.
on the outside. It's definitely a game that lends itself to the lamest person you hung out with would be like, hey, can I play? And then they would never give it back. You know what I mean? It definitely was a game in that mode where it like did not lend itself to passing the controller.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
'Cause you can't like die or anything.
You gotta set those time limits. Yes, or you play the various multiplayer modes but like on the N64 it would lag like shit if you played 2-player modes.
Yes.
Yep.
N64. We could do a whole podcast about N64.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
And one day we will. So, back to the topic at hand. Have you heard of this movie? What do you know about it? And what are your thoughts?
I have heard of this movie. I have not seen it yet, though. Never seen it.
Stuff of legend or just casually heard about it?
Casually heard about it.
Okay.
As we were researching this episode, kind of discovered the cult of this movie.
Let's get into that more later.
We will.
Because I want to know about that cult.
I heard about it when Kevin said, we're gonna watch this movie Thrashin'. It's Romeo and Juliet on skateboards. That's all I know.
And then it came in the mail, and the rest was history.
And then you said, I gotta be on that podcast. So.
My exact word.
I had heard about this movie when I was 14 years old, and it was a thing of like, that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way that like someone made a movie about skateboarding in the 80s that I don't know about. You know what I mean? And then we tracked it down, and I watched it, and I was like, what the hell? And then I watched it all throughout college, but in the 8 years since then, I've not watched it, and I've kind of softened on it a lot. It's almost made that trip, that long road down to Amoeba, where I almost sold it a couple of times, and I have held on to it. So it'll be interesting to revisit this. And then we wanted to, so it had a very strong place in my heart for a while. We'll see if that still is the case.
Gotcha. But it's like a mangy dog almost. You kind of love it because it's mangy.
Yeah.
But man, I want a new dog.
Well, yeah. To my memory, not to spoil anything, to my memory of the movie, it's very rough. You know what I mean? There's a roughness to it, but we'll get to that in a minute. Is anyone here familiar with David Winters as the director? Do you need to talk about this?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Moving on.
No.
You'll speak for all of us. Do you like movies in this genre? Skateboarding movies. We will revisit this after we watch it. I'm going to go ahead and say this is the best skateboarding movie ever. Even though I just said it was rough around the edges, even though I just said I'm kind of soft on it now, I just think that it is. I can get into that in a second, but what do you guys think about skateboarding movies?
They tend to be pretty amateurish is the thing, and it's more, it's way more about just showing off the skateboarding than actually trying to tell any kind of coherent story, and they're very juvenile kind of humor, and the stuff that only people that shop at Zoomies is ever gonna laugh at, so I don't know. I don't have an affinity for skateboarding movies.
I will also say, as of 15 years ago, a lot of good sales shoes at Zoomies. you get some fucking, Converse for $15. That was in the mid-2000s. I assume things have changed.
I did not know skateboarding movies was a genre.
You didn't? You've never seen any skateboard movies, huh?
I can name a single one that I can think of.
I mean,
That's not Thrashin'.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I happen to have a list of them right here in my format that they're all terrible. They're all fucking lame. So you got Lords of Dogtown, too serious. Documentary's better. You got Gleaming the Cube. It's not even about it's about espionage. It's not even fucking about skateboarding, right? That's skateboarding in it. You got Grind, painful. MVP, most vertical primate. Slavery, terrible. Paranoid Park, melodrama, and just an excuse to have boys take off their shirts.
And one of Gus Van Zant's weird movies. He cycles through those.
Yeah. He's come on. Paranoid Park, get out of here.
He's a weird dude.
Skateboard Kid, come on, Kev, come on. Don't do this to me. Search for Animal Chin, racist. So, there's other ones I'm not mentioning here. Skater, Dater, I've never seen that, but I just don't want to, you know what I mean? It's all junk. It's an old junky subgenre.
You got like Avril Lavigne doing like that Skater Boy song and the whole skater music subgenre, and it gets all very.
I would argue that is not in this. That's just a pop song that mentions the word skateboarding.
That's true. But it's appealing to this crowd, people that would watch most vertical primate.
Yeah, well, yeah. I would like to meet up with the people who saw that in the theater and just do a whole retrospective on how has that treated you, having had done that.
Yep.
I'm going to caveat here, there's a lot of good skateboarding documentaries. Dogtown Z-Boys, obviously. Stoke, The Rise and Fall of Gator. Bones Brigade, an autobiography. These are all great documentaries that I highly recommend to everyone. And then there's a third genre of skateboarding media, of the audio-visual type, which is skate videos, right? Which is just a bunch of skateboarding footage. So you got like Blind's Video Days, Man Down, Bag of Suck, Label Kills, Fully Flared. These are all... But that's like super core. Like you got to be like into skateboarding to watch just footage of people skateboarding, right?
But some interesting filmmakers got into those videos. Spike Jonze directed a lot. Jeff Tremaine, who did all the Jackass stuff, and
he did all the Big Brother videos, like Boob.
Yep. For one example.
Yeah. So
I think Spike Jonze to me is the most interesting. Like this guy was such a strong artistic vision, and he really started just making these kind of skateboard movies skateboarding himself.
He did indeed. Owns Girl Skateboarding Company.
If you get the work of Spike Jonze DVD, they have a lot of his skateboarding films on there.
Oh, do they?
Along with his music videos.
Very interesting. And with his IKEA commercial too, or starring
it might be
Mark Gonzalez of all people.
I think that this came out before that.
Interesting.
That IKEA commercial.
Interesting. So, Kev, you said something interesting earlier. You said skateboarding is a sport. Would you say that skateboarding is a sport?
I think so.
Interesting.
It's, it requires a piece of equipment. It is athletic. You can be better at it than somebody. It has its own X Games, it's that draw hundreds of people and air on ESPN.
Literally, dozens of people come out for that.
There are dozens of us! But I think it absolutely is a sport. There is a certain athleticism that's required to even pull it off, and training, and you have to have the focus of like a world-class athlete to really do it.
Interesting.
So I think it is a sport.
Chris, you want to add to this or subtract from it?
I agree. I think you can definitely do it where it's not a sport. Me messing around on a skateboard isn't really an athletic feat, but
the same way me missing a free throw with a basketball is not an athletic feat.
Playing horse with your friends isn't necessarily playing a sport, but the NBA is, a sport.
So I would say that skateboarding is absolutely not a sport. And
intriguing.
I will defend that statement now. So when you say, in the examples that you guys gave, right, that's not playing basketball, though, right? Shooting hoop is not playing basketball. Shooting hoop is shooting hoops, right? If you said, hey, let's go play basketball, the subject, predicate, basketball being the let's go basketball, right? That implies you got two teams, equal teams, blah, 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 there's rules, basket is two is from here, three is from here, winner, loser gets to take the ball out, this is out of bounds, blah, 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 on a court, blah, blah. Offense, defense, unmeasurable competition.
But they have that for skateboarding, though.
I would argue they do not have that for skateboarding, because skateboarding is, if you had like long jump, right, where you just go off the fucking ramp and we measure how far you go, that's a sport, because it's a measurable thing, right? But if you say, hey, here's some shit, you guys just skateboard it, we'll just tell you who's the best, no, that's not a sport.
But then you're saying like snowboarding's not a sport. Gymnastics.
Figure skating.
I would say that figure skating is definitely not a sport. I would say gymnastics
agree with you there.
is definitely not a sport. I would say that snowboarding can be a sport if you, say, race a snowboard to the bottom of a hill. Who comes first? A measurable competition. But to say like, oh, I like that guy's backflip better than this guy's backflip, it's like, well, who the fuck are you to tell me anything, Kev? I'm not bound down to your authority, Dad.
Yeah, you will.
But that's my own personal.
I did there is that fine line of
and especially. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's why I make sure he's settled.
And especially like in skateboarding, like there's competitions in skateboarding, but like when you get into the subculture, like that's not important at all. Like whoever, like the skater of the year, it's not like, oh, he won the X Games. Like who won the X Games the last 10 years in a row? Nobody cares. It's an irrelevant. Like it's cool because that guy won a bunch of money, presumably, right? But like in terms of skateboarding, like pro status, it's like about getting footage and putting out your footage and like being really good and kind of being a character. It's being a professional skateboarder is more of a performance art thing, right? Because it's like you're sponsored by these companies and that's what makes you a pro, right? Being a pro isn't really about like competitions. It's about like can your name be put on something and then sell that? You know what I mean?
Pretty much it.
So and then you have all these fucking bizarro characters in the world of skateboarding, like because when you're a kid, I remember as a kid, I'm like, why does this guy have a shoe? He rips. How come this guy has a shoe? Oh, he does rip. It's like your perception of everyone is like, oh, he's just really good, right? But it's like, oh, but that guy's like the rock and roll guy who's really good, and this guy's like the pile, you know, he's just like a fucking mess, and that's why everyone loves him. And this guy's like, you know what I'm saying? So I would say that skateboarding is, I would argue, and again, taking nothing away from you guys, although I will shit all over the Olympics. Fuck the Olympics. I would say that skateboarding is, on the professional level, is more performance art, and on a amateur level or a just enthusiast level is just more art. Because if we say us three are going to grab our skateboards and go skateboarding, we're not going to be like, okay, you get your first one, Kev, 90 seconds, go! And then I take mine, and then you take yours, and then we all judge who's the best. It's like, no, we all just fucking go there, fucking, you know, put the wheels down, get it, get out. And figure out what can you do? Where are we going to go? We're going to go to this ledge in the park? What do you got? What are you going to, fucking make on there?
See, but I feel basketball's like that, though. Or football. Sometimes you just go out, you can say, oh, we're going to go play football, but you're just passing the ball, or you're just shooting hoops.
Yeah, well, but that's playing catch, and that's playing hoops.
All right.
Yeah.
Or if you will, a game of lightning.
Well, yeah, of course.
Lightning, you know, at the free throw line. Well, we'll say that's too much of a tangent to explain the rules of lightning. So now that we've debated this, before we get in, let's get out of here and watch this movie. But before we go, what do you like better? Do you like the popsicle shaped board? Do you like normal skateboard, or it's like looks kind of symmetrical, or do you like the '80s cruiser style looking board?
I like the more symmetrical one.
Interesting.
I think yeah.
Interesting.
Just more aesthetically pleasing.
I'm gonna go third option and say longboards.
Oh wow. Interesting.
You want to talk about not a sport?
Well, by my definition, I have to give it up. Longboarding would be a sport because who gets to the bottom of the hill first?
But most of the time, it's just gypsies riding around their boards because they don't own a car.
Yep.
I see a man on a longboard and I just say that guy has a DUI. Every
true.
time.
It's true. Hands in the pockets, wearing flip-flops, just asking to be murdered.
Has DUI.
But murdered not by another human being, murdered by gravity and physics.
Or a car.
I will say, I like the 80s shaped board. I'm going to go and further clarify and say coffin-shaped board.
Yeah.
Daggers. Satan. Alright.
Coffin-shaped anything.
Coffin-shaped.
Just badass.
Coffin-shaped everything.
Yes.
Coffin-shaped car, coffin-shaped suitcase, coffin-shaped coffin.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, let's get this done. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it there.
And we're back.
We're back.
Kev, Christy, how'd you watch it? Where'd you watch it? How'd you watch it?
Got the disc from Netflix. Watched it at our house.
DVD.
DVD, yes.
I forgot that it wasn't online. Searched for it. Wasted about 45 minutes trying to fucking, like, where is this thing? And then remembered, oh, yeah, it's not on any digital platform. And then I was like, oh, shit. And then I had to go through all my boxes of DVDs. I found it, you know, the very last time. So to reiterate, fucking MGM, get your shit together. God damn.
There's a market. People want this thing.
I would love this. I'm probably just going to go out and buy the Blu-ray.
I mean, you might as well at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll release an anniversary edition.
This is its
30th anniversary.
This is 30th year.
On a skateboard?
When does the movie come out? With this, so box set comes with a skateboard,
Mm-hmm.
in a skateboard,
On a skateboard.
Just duct taped on a
and
skateboard.
it was released August 29th, 1986. So there's plenty of time to get that together.
Yep.
Go for it, MGM.
MGM calling you out.
Do it.
So also my DVD gave me the option of 16:9 or 4:3. That's how
Yep.
old this DVD is.
Yep.
Where it's like assuming you don't have a widescreen
The
TV.
same one we had.
And I expected the 16:9 to be letterboxed. It was not. It was actually 16:9. And I took 8 pages of notes fucking on here.
Wow.
8 pages. Spoiler alert. I don't know if you guys want to talk about how many pages you took, but
I
8
took
pages.
5 lines of text.
5 lines of text,
Mine is like 10 lines of text.
8 pages of fever dream scribbles. So, as I said in the first half, right? I watched the movie when I was 14, blew my mind it existed, watched it in college a lot, showed everyone I ever met in college, I was like, hey, you gotta watch Thrashin. You gotta watch Thrashin and Akira. Those are my two.
That's a hell of a double feature.
It makes no sense.
That is youth in just completely encompassed in 2 movies.
Indeed. So I watched it again, for this podcast. Didn't know what to think. But I fucking love this movie. I love everything about it. Even the second half where it kind of starts to fall apart a little bit. Love this movie. Initial thoughts, Kev.
I really enjoyed it too. This being my first go around. It's so much better than so many other of the shitty cult movies you see because I think it really has some actual honest to God like filmmaking talent behind it and is very inspired. And we'll get into a little later in this podcast what's inspired about
Yes.
it.
And just to, and I want to save some stuff for later, but when you see skateboarding in media, it's always shot in a way where people you just know that they have they're not familiar with it at all,
exactly.
and it's just so awkwardly looking. And that's not there, Christy.
I mean, I quite enjoyed the movie. Am I going to buy it or necessarily watch it again?
Ever? Never?
Most likely not.
Okay.
But only because it's not. I don't think this movie is geared towards me.
Definitely. Well, you are a Southern California girl.
True.
So there's there's that Valley versus Venice rivalry. There's
Yeah.
which is so relevant in this day and age, right?
I mean, the Valley sucks, so let's just be honest here.
Sorry, Valley Trash. You gotta call that.
I'm not gonna say the Valley's. I'm not gonna go as far as say the Valley sucks. I will say that the Valley is very hot, and
Always hot. no
LA
matter what.
LA proper is just the right amount of heat. You know what I mean? Not too spicy, just that right amount of heat. Valley a little bit too spicy, but some good shit in the Valley though. I'm not gonna hate the Valley.
Great laundromats, great liquor stores.
What the fuck are you talking about? So this movie opens, right? Josh Brolin skating from Bakersfield, Santa Clarita. I don't know where this movie starts, right?
Right.
It is way up in the valley. That's
but
for
it's
sure.
like shot in Venice. That opening scene when he comes out is in Venice.
But when they're building their ramp, though, is in the valley.
But like when he's like, "I'm leaving home, Mom," the physical location is Venice.
I believe you're right, but I believe that in the plot of the movie, it's supposed to be
somewhere.
like Rancho Cucamonga. I don't know. You know what I mean? He's hitching a ride on the freeway. Also,
Right.
all of the fucking hitchhiking in this movie, disgusting.
There's so much vagrancy.
When was there a time that was appropriate in society? Answer my question: never.
The world of Thrashin, apparently.
And so, just like when I was 14, so I'm watching this on fucking like yesterday, right? Just like when I was 14 years old, just like now, I was like, I want this to be my life. Guy wakes up, puts on a shirt, jumps out his window, and fucking just jams it down, to Venice Beach. To the Valley, right? But just fucking jamming, you know what I mean? Also, wait, you're right, because he's like on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And then so I guess the movie starts, he lives, where the fuck, I mean, maybe he lives south? He's coming up the other way?
Yeah, Redondo. He lives in Redondo and goes all the way up.
All the way up to the valley? Yeah, probably. Weird. Okay, this is
kinda
a lot
never-
of LA talk in
It's
this
kind of
fucking
never
podcast.
revisited ever again.
No, it's not. Also, his mom sent his duffel up without him. That line always gets me like, why even need to clarify that? She's like, here's some money. Good luck in the downhill. Be careful at the fucking pool contest. I sent your duffel up. It's like, why? Who cares? Very strange.
Can't skateboard with a duffel.
Indeed. But then when he hits that slappy 5-0 and he goes up the red curve and he just kind of jams it, I'm like, yes! So I spent this whole movie literally talking to myself and just marking the fuck out. And then Emily came home halfway through and then she was like, I'll just sit on the couch and read. And then I kept saying stuff and she's like, why? I'm trying to read. Stop talking. I'm like, it's not, if you were in the other room, nothing would be different.
Yep.
Nothing would be different. Man. Any other initial thoughts, guys? Or
Let's get into the meat of the talk.
I wanna. First things last. I wanna talk about the music first.
Yes.
The Thrashin theme song is performed by Meatloaf. What?
Really? I had no idea.
I was watching the credits and I was like, Meatloaf. You know what I mean? And then, so that's crazy. Also, that song is just Like,
It sounds like a Meatloaf song now that you really sit and think about it.
and then a cameo by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yep.
Yes.
Like total late 80s Chili
Yeah,
Peppers.
funk punk Chili
Funk
Peppers.
punk rap Chili Peppers.
What did you guys think about that? Did you expect?
I was shocked that the Chili Peppers were there, to tell you the truth. Because, yeah, you forget there was a time when they were kind of that cult band that was just like only weirdos listened to. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
When Freaky Styley came out, and they weren't a staple on modern rock radio. So it was cool to see them just in that infancy. Also, Hillel Slovak, one of the greatest guitar players ever.
Is he
lived.
dead?
Yeah, he died. He had shortly after this, actually, he died of a heroin overdose.
Wow.
But then they picked up John Frusciante, who's also one of the greatest guitar players to ever walk this planet.
Dave Navarro?
He's okay.
All right. I just remember, seeing them is just like, oh yeah, they were like this like weird, bizarro band that totally fit into that like 80s like, just like weirdos. You know what I mean? They're just like the 80s weirdos. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
yeah, I remember it's just every time that scene comes up, it's just like, wait, what the fuck? And they're all,
These guys sell out arenas now.
yeah, and they're in Thrashin. That scene was almost also cut from the movie. They did the test screening, and you know how like they have a little knob that's like, when you like, when you don't like it. Everyone hated that scene, and the writer was like, dude, we can't cut the Chili Peppers, and Freets was like, dude, we gotta cut them. And they didn't, and thank God they didn't, because also how would that scene even have played out without the Chili Peppers? You
I
know
know.
what I mean?
It's just people at a thing just dancing around to nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you need something to give a song to sing along to.
Last thing I want to say about the music is when they're doing the chase scene in the parking structure, the circle jerks are playing while the song "Wild in the Streets." Just fucking the music in this movie is just perfect,
And it's constant too. It's like there's almost never a scene where there's not music.
which is also juxtaposed with like ridiculous like teen 80s like synthy ballads.
Yep.
Like when they have sex
Big
for the first time, and like every time they're having any romantic moment is like this really high noted like pitchy ballad, like, and it's awful. And that juxtaposition is great though.
And very on the nose when she's like,
The lyrics.
"It's time," and the guy's like, "It's time now."
Yeah. There's literally just when they recorded that song, they're literally just watching the movie and just narrating it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God, it's funny.
A montage.
Montage.
Let's talk some Hook and the Daggers. The first scene when we see Hook and the Daggers is like might be my favorite moment in like all of cinema. So they're at a stop sign on a hill, and Hook comes over the fucking crest of the hill, and then the daggers come up, and they're all like power sliding and like doing little 180s and stuff, and he's just like standing straight up, and then they blow back by the car, and they're like all jumping on it, doing acid drops off the top. That is fucking perfect.
That's
dude.
how you introduce a gang or
Yeah.
a group. You
Right.
know? It's the Wild Bunch showing up, and if anybody moves, kill them. It's that level of like,
Right.
these guys are badass.
They're the Black Liberal Motorcycle Club, you know what I mean? They're
Pretty
just
much.
like rolling into town, we're gonna fuck it all up. And they're all super dirty, they all smell terrible.
Yep.
Fucking,
Leather in the hot sun.
they smell like
Sweaty.
stepdad abuse and, alcohol.
And Cramps t-shirts.
Yeah. It's out of control. Also, watching it again now for like the 20th time, when they roll past these guys and they roll into that alley and that truck rolls up, and then for a reason that 19 times felt very arbitrary, Hook charges the truck and does a backflip and lands back on his board, and you're like, why? You know what I mean? So
can't.
I finally figured it out that on the truck are rival skate name, actual real skate name. So there's Team Pain and the Jacks. Jacks are from San Francisco. I don't know where Team Pain's from, but those are actual other skate crews. So,
Okay.
so I'm like, that is the most arbitrary of references, and then he does a backflip off of it, like, fuck these guys, strange.
Indeed.
Oh, also the Dagger's house.
Oh man.
Oh my god, just what a squat.
And they're just like bombing off the roof.
Yeah,
It's
just
a whole
junky cars in the driveway.
open bags of 80s Doritos everywhere.
Right.
And then
Filthy walls painted with murals of like leprechauns and fucking
Yep.
demons and shit.
Basically, every 14-year-old boy's dream.
Oh my God, yes.
Absolutely.
Still my dream to this day.
And then, Chrissy walks in. She's in her, perfect pink dress, and her hair is all just rightly 80s out. And she looks so out of place.
Right, there's stencils of daggers everywhere.
Everywhere. That branding is out of control.
I also love how Corey calls Hook a punk poser, which is, such a high school line, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Punk poser.
Poser.
It's like, he lives in a squat with his gang. What is he posing?
That's as punk as it gets.
You know what I mean?
That guy hasn't paid an electric bill in months. They just strong-armed the DWP.
Yeah, they're stealing power from the neighbor. Oh, man. I also like listen, I love everything about this movie, but I do like, again, how, Hook and Chrissy have, an interesting relationship where, they're kind of mean to each other, but then they laugh it off with a smile. And as a kid, I thought that was just lazy. But I'm as I get older, it's no, they're just they're fighting, and then one of them smiles, and then they kind of realize it's not important.
Yeah.
When he's talking about don't hang out with Corey, and she's I'll do whatever I want. And then he gets mad at her. You roll the daggers, and then she smiles at him, and he's yeah, whatever. And then this is wait, what? We're just gonna back off of this? That's actually really real. You know what I mean? And I also like it when he's primping in the mirror, and
yes.
And then he's what do you think I should wear? The dagger, or the skull, or the hoop? She's the dagger, and then the bone thrower is hey, I take this serious. A bone,
It's important to me.
It's important to me.
The cross with the hook, or the hoop, or no, the cross with the dagger, or the hoop with the dagger.
Yeah. and then she's and then he's a bone, huh? And then they kind of laugh it off. I'm that is actually very much how siblings interact a lot of times. So I, for the last fucking 20 years or however long I've been watching this movie, not 20, 15 years, over 15 years. It's I'm that's a lazy scene, but it's not a lazy scene. That's actually really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I, we just give each other shit the whole time we hang out.
Speaking of brothers, then you cut to Corey, who is also primping in the mirror and trying to get his outfit just right to go to this fucking skate rock club. And the ironic part, which is not ironic, I think is we all know, but they don't understand, is they both look like they just dumpster dived outside of a Mervin's in terms of gear. So it's yeah, dude, you're gonna wear sunglasses and a hat with your shitty jeans and your shitty button up and your stupid jacket, or you're not gonna do that. I don't know.
Which is unbuttoned, by the way.
Yeah, all the way unbuttoned. Which, again, 14-year-old me is just fuck.
If I was as tan as young Josh Brolin,
Oh, so tan.
I'd be wearing unbuttoned shirts too.
You guys, he was so tan.
That could not possibly be tanner.
It's an unhealthy level of tan.
Only in the 80s. Only in the 80s.
Just one last thing about both the ramp locals and the daggers, in terms of research. And again, I don't. As you guys not as into skateboarding as me, probably see this, but don't see it the same way I do. But the ramp local, the daggers have skull skateboards, logos of it's a skull. They're Thrashin magazine stickers in their place. They got Santa Cruz. They're all decked out or whatever. And then you have the fucking ramp locals who are wearing Madrid and Vision. All these dork brands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just it's just so perfectly done. Where it's just
well, they got the one guy with his Volkswagen Rabbit, and that's their main means of transportation. But then we gotta make this thing fucking cool, and then it looks terrible, but it's cool as well.
Yeah.
They just saw the roof off and put shitty spray paint on it.
Yeah. Make it much closer to the daggers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Van.
Aesthetic. Yeah. Also, that fucking dagger van has a stenciled gigantic dagger on the windshield. Out of control. Stencils on the windshield. Terrible idea.
And that van is just so hot inside.
Oh,
That thing is
reeks.
That thing is dark black.
Yeah. That van is hot. There's a CO2 leak in the back.
Yep.
Smells like gasoline. Maybe diesel. I don't know. Probably not. Those guys, I don't think they're thinking ahead like that.
No.
But you guys want to add anything here? Because I got a million more things to say.
I didn't check my notes.
Well, if we're on a car subject,
And we are.
Chrissy's car with the hot pink fur.
Yeah.
That car
dashboard.
does not get enough play. Because you see it one
You see it
scene,
one time.
and you're wait. Also, why do they walk everywhere if she owns this?
And wait, she took the bus too from Indiana.
She took a bunch from Indiana, so presumably that's
So it's someone's hot pink car.
right. So maybe she's borrowing it from Velvet. I don't know. Also, Velvet.
Velvet, yes.
Hook and Velvet, the
so-
power couple.
They're gonna make it, you guys. But it's like, yeah, like, she's always at the Dagger house, and then he always skateboards over there. And it's like, if you have access to this car, how come you never pick him up?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that car is fucking next level.
Yeah.
And and she's all mad, and she gets in it. It's like supposed to be this really dramatic scene.
But you're like, ooh, what
wait
is
a minute,
this thing?
fuzzy dashboard.
It matches her so perfectly.
And it really robs that scene of all of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I don't think I could tell you what else was in that scene other than that amazing car.
It was truly amazing.
And whose was it? You know,
I wanted.
We'll never know.
There has to be a deleted scene that introduces that car. It's too much of a distraction.
it really is.
It's like, what?
Are there deleted scenes on the DVD?
There's not.
Do we need
There
to?
are not. I checked, or not.
Terrible.
I also like the friendship that the ramp. Also, the ramp locals. If you were to redo this movie, you would definitely do it from the Daggers perspective because like they're way cooler than the ramp locals.
Yeah.
But I do like the ramp locals is how it's written, how they have their friendship. Like Bozo is obviously like kind of a dumbass, but like he's just a dumbass. They're not really bullying him, and they do like him a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like there's jokes like, oh, you drinks on Bozo or whatever, but like. It's never at the level of like, oh, we don't like this guy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
There's always that one friend who's kind of the foil
Right.
in your group.
And I feel like, you know,
And if you think your group doesn't have that friend, then
You're the
it's
foil.
you.
but he's just the foil. It's not like Revenge of the Nerds or something where it's like, no, we hate this fucking dude. We don't know why he's here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I also like how, like, so when, after the boxing scene, which we will get to in a minute, and Corey breaks his arm, how they're like, Corey, get up, the cops are coming, and he doesn't get up. I like how the guy tosses his skateboard and they all pick him up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know. There's ways that scenes involving their relationship could have been written that would have been not enjoyable at all, but they're actually friends.
Yeah, you do get a true friendship vibe
Right.
out of everything they do. They build a ramp together.
And then he's like, hey man, you go first because you're better than all of us at skateboarding, so we want your opinion. It's like, that's kind of cool, you know what I mean?
They're genuinely best friends.
But I will say, plot wise, he comes from Marina Del Rey, goes to the Valley, specifically probably to train on this ramp. He's like, I gotta train for the pool competition tomorrow, and they're still building it. It's not even fucking done. What is that?
Yeah, they get that thing done in the nick of time for him to do the pool competition, which is in Venice, so he has to go all the way back over to Venice.
I
And,
believe.
and they're doing it all on skateboards, which is impressive. You know, apparently just like bumming rides from anybody who will give it to them.
No, they took the rabbit. The fucking.
Yeah.
Also, two things. One, a lot of product placement in this movie.
Oh yeah.
A lot of product placement. And two, I believe that competition was in Del Mar because I believe that's the Del Mar skate park.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Del Mar,
Ah.
California. I don't know where that is, but
Speaking of product
Oh,
placement,
Orange County. Oh, sorry.
it's alright. Speaking of product placement, one product placement they did not have was the beer they drank.
yes, beer brand beer,
In
Oh, that was amazing.
a can that says
beer.
I want
it's
it.
blue and white and it says beer and that's it.
I would buy that beer if I saw it in a store.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Just beer.
yeah, beer brand.
And their chips probably say chips.
Yeah,
Chips.
it's just like beer brand beer. Everything else is Sprite. Everything else is Popeyes.
Yep.
Everything else is Chevrolet and fucking Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Beer brand beer.
Could not get a sponsor.
Well, it couldn't get a sponsor. Like it wouldn't be appropriate. I don't know. How do you explain that? Budweiser pulled out at the last minute.
We don't want our beer with underage children.
It's just, and the fact that they didn't have to show it. They could have said like, "Hey man, you want a beer?" You know, they
Yeah.
showed the label. It
Yeah.
says beer,
That's it.
blue letters, white can. That's it. There's no barcode on that thing. It's just
Nope.
beer.
No branding whatsoever.
Hand stenciled.
Yep.
Each can. Well,
So let's get to. I want to get to the climactic downhill race and get to all the drama around that. That scene is crazy.
Elaborate.
It's apparently the one guy who is on the ground with his leg broken actually broke his leg, and those are actually paramedics, and they just filmed it and put it in the movie.
Oh really? Mustache dagger?
Yes.
Oh.
That's interesting because he's smoking a cigarette while doing that.
Yep.
And I thought that was hilarious. But then
So actually happening.
Yeah.
Yes, apparently he actually broke his leg, and those are actual medics attending to him.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess sometimes you need a cigarette when you're in intense pain, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, why wait, right?
This is the 80s, man.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird because I mean, basically he, like that's just like some country road over by the one freeway.
Yeah.
And they just had a downhill race on it. And so go. Like, what did you find out here?
I just think it culminates. All of the skateboarding scenes in this movie are really well shot in a way that has never, I think, even been tried before or done beforehand. It's like the camera is extremely dynamic. It like follows them in lots of different ways. You really do get a sense of speed out of it. Like when they're going down the hill, it really kind of feels dangerous. Although he was not going 63 miles an hour.
No.
That was an amazing moment of pure.
He hits the ramp. The cop's there for whatever fucking reason, and then
Just for the
63,
gun.
and I audibly went, "What?"
There's no way. And also, it's like when you go fast on a skateboard, it's like it's a piece of wood and plastic
With
wheels,
four
right?
plastic wheels.
Yeah.
And I mean, they actually, I mean, to their credit, they actually mentioned this in the movie where it's like, they're like, when he's talking to Chrissy about it, he's like, when you go down, like the whole board will just start vibrating on you, which is
Right.
actually what happens. So like, that's what happens when you go in like 15 miles an hour.
Right.
60? Like, I don't know what would happen. You know what I
And
mean?
they would like split into 10 pieces.
Yeah, like, that's crazy stuff. That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
But again, it's just extremely dynamic, and you really get a sense of like it's hot. These people are getting hurt, but they're doing it because they're really good at it and they love it. And it's like it's an intense race, and like all of the skating scenes before then are just really give you a real sense of what it's like to be on a skateboard.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree with that, but just one last thing on the downhill. In the beginning of downhill, there are people who are like butt boarding and like knee boarding.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the casting call was anyone who's ever seen, or if you have your own skateboard, come on, you could be in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they just do whatever you want. And then in the beginning of the race, it's just this fucking savagery of everyone just doing whatever. And you see people like really awkwardly like trying to run out the fucking
Yep.
downhill
Yeah.
speed. It's like, nah, it's not gonna work.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, you can't outrun gravity, homie. It's not gonna happen.
And then yeah, they like fly off hills and they hit rocks and they take these huge tumbles, and it just has this energy about it that's really impressive, I think.
And I think going back to the skate, because it's interesting because they show a lot of different, and also all of the skateboarding photography was done by Stacy Peralta, who is one of the original Dogtown Z-Boys. He made the documentary Dogtown Z-Boys. He made a documentary about the Bones Brigade in the 80s. He was the team manager for Powell Peralta, which is Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain and all those guys. And then he made all their videos. He was, accomplished skate filmer at that point.
Yeah.
Probably the first one, So it's like all of those shots of skateboarding, it's like you get really good. They show like everything, right, at the time, right? There's like downhill at the end. There's vert, which is, when they're doing the ramp stuff. They do street skateboarding,
Right.
and they do freestyle. So it's like they're showing like the whole swath of skateboarding, but they're not just showing like people being super good. Like, because you could just show like the Tony Hawk footage at the Del Mar contest and
Right.
all those things, but like they're showing them just like jamming down the street and like kind of doing little tricks
Yeah.
and like
There's that
fucking up
whole-
those hitting a crack and like trying to catch up to the board and jump
Yeah,
back on it.
yeah.
And like that is skateboarding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's that whole Hollywood sequence where they're just
Right.
bombing everything and like jumping over hobos. one guy will fall over, but then all of a sudden he's an obstacle, so they just jump over him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
It is the full swath of like casual skateboarding, professional, downhill, pool, vert, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's weird is like a lot of that is those actors, right? Like a lot of that is just shots of them doing it, which is like, again, like fucking Lords of Dogtown. It's like there's lots of shots where it's like, why is the last 5 cuts been just the back of this dude's head?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, because he's not doing any of this. And it's just very interesting that.
Although Josh Brolin does have 4 credited doubles in the
And
credits.
there's totally scenes where you could, like when he's doing big
Yeah.
airs and shit.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is not practical. But when he's just like jamming down the street,
Yeah.
he's not doing the actual grinds, but he's actually jamming down the street, and he has
Yeah.
decent style. You know what I mean? He looks
can do the
comfortable on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you put me on the board and
You'd be like,
Yeah,
you'd have that.
I'd be,
yeah. Any of us, we'd have that awkwardness of like, we're not good enough to be pro skateboarders.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot, you know, just that. And then, like, when they're at the Dagger's house, like, the one guy's trying hand plants in the front yard, and he's like doing it, but he doesn't really, you know, he's just fucking, he's not really committing to it. And, like, the guys on the roof are, like, bombing the roof, but they're not jumping off the roof. They're like, listen, we'll do this little loop down the, but I'm not getting killed off the fucking driveway.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a level of reality to skateboarding in this movie. This 80s skateboarding movie about Romeo and Juliet on skateboards that actually represents what skateboarding is like, which is mind-blowing to me.
Now, but I do have a question since you were more into skater culture, it sounds like.
Indeed.
Jousting. Real
Let's
or not real?
get to that.
Deleted scene from the Warriors, it looks like. It's in this fucking, like, concrete ravine.
Which, by the way, is in Griffith Park, which we will be going to any day now.
I got my beanbag on a chain waiting for it.
So, after seeing this movie, me and my friends tried this. And it's just like, and it's just as awkward as it looks in the movie, where it's just like, yeah, like, you could just, like, to balance yourself and to throw it, you just see it coming a mile away, and you just duck underneath. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you took a nunchuck and you just put a boxing glove at the end and, you know, a little tape.
Oh,
It's
see,
like, no.
I totally thought those things were filled with like nails or pegs.
Oh,
or
I think in the movie they're supposed to,
Okay.
but for our purposes, we're like, let's not
You didn't want to actually injure.
murder each other.
Good call. Good call.
But yeah, no, that's and that's a moment in the movie where this movie becomes like a surreal, like, like it's like Mad Max all of a sudden,
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like,
The
what do we?
fire.
Yeah, there's
They got
flames,
flares. Yeah,
Yeah.
they all have, like, red hot flares, and it's just completely.
everyone's
graffiti.
face is painted.
Yep.
Which they kind of foreshadow because, like, you know, Velvet likes to face paint.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just like, you know, they're just like the baseball furies all of a sudden.
I can just picture Velvet as off to the side, like, just painting people's faces, like, one by one. And,
Yeah.
Does anybody need a touch up? Okay, just come over here if you need a touch up. Yeah.
Once we get going, you guys, I'm gonna pack this up. Yeah, no, it has no basis in reality at all. None. Which juxtaposed to the rest of this movie is just, I don't know, dude. That's a bold move.
It really is. And it's, you know, 80s movies, they just don't give a fuck, and that's why they're kind of great. You know? They just don't care, and they'll throw that kind of scene in there, and it fits the movie. If you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's like, no, wait a minute, this is pretty dumb, but it fits within the world of what they're doing. So that's the 80s.
Yeah, it's insanity, bro. It's insanity.
It just really, when I saw it, there was a small part of me that went, wait, did people do this? Is this a thing?
They do not. To my knowledge, now, you know, I don't represent all of skateboarding, and I actually represent none of it. But to my knowledge, no one's ever jousted on a skateboard with a beanbag.
A beanbag on chain.
Beanbag on a chain.
You're gonna get a ton of calls and comments.
Dude, I hope so. If someone's ever, I get some footage, some sweet YouTube cam footage on this.
Do it.
Or we could just fill our own beanbags full of fucking nails and go find this.
Griffith Park ain't that far away.
I'll hold the camera.
Indeed.
Should we get into some nitpicks and cool stuff?
Before we do that, let me just say one or two more things here.
Cool.
The 50% of this movie is skate montages.
Oh yeah.
50, no fewer than 50.
Easily.
There's so many montages in this movie. It's montage after montage.
Yep.
Then they burn down the ramp, which is a montage. Then they skate to the Dagger's house. That's a montage. Montage.
I mean, the Hollywood sequence is like a 5-minute montage.
Yes.
I love it though.
No, it was great.
I loved that sequence.
Yeah, it's great.
And it climaxes with them getting Popeyes.
Well, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing is that, like, they're all good montages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's how can a movie have 20 minutes of montaging, but like they're all good? It's crazy.
And yeah, it's like when they're chasing Corey away and it's dark and there's all the different ways he's got to avoid them in the montage. And it's just solid montage.
Thing.
The parking structure when they're going down the parking structure. Also, there's a lot.
To quote Christy, how did they not get dizzy?
He's got to deal. They had the little car sickness wristband.
C-bands.
C-bands.
Shout out.
Yeah. And they took also you take the the seasick pills.
Oh, Dramamine.
Dramamine, and then you just take a bunch of ginger, and then you
Yep.
can just do it downhill.
Yeah. I'm clearly the one who gets motion sick here since I'm throwing out the name brands.
Throw them out there. Do it. Be somebody.
Sponsorship.
Speaking of sponsorship, the scene with the guy who owns Smash Skates.
Yes. Yes.
Again,
He's an old school comedian, actually.
is he?
He's in the Aristocrats documentary. I can't for the life of me right now remember his name.
It's okay. That scene is bizarre, but again, it's like they did their research, right? It's like not everyone knows that skateboarding graphics are screen printed on. Nowadays, it's like a heat transfer, but like back in the 80s, it was all just one layer at a time, right? Like, it's weird that they had to include that research in the actual movie, where it's like, you don't really need this scene. He's taking a tour of the factory. It's
Yeah.
like, here's how we, look, swamp, and then now that's the black layer, and then swamp, here's the red layer. It's like, okay, sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess. and then he's like, they're like, this board is 7 layers of wood,
Yeah.
across whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's how a skateboard works, but like, I think the casual audience doesn't really give a shit.
Right.
Like, I know that is accurate, that is true, but it's just like, interesting that didn't get cut out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I kind of like having it in there because it does give Corey some stakes of like, this is also what he's competing for. He wants to get sponsored by this guy.
Right.
And the downhill thing becomes not just his rivalry with the daggers. It's
A chance to
this
become
is his
something.
chance to
Yeah.
become like
That's true.
legendary.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I also like is that, and I kind of want to, before we get into like nitpicks, I want to talk about like actual problems with this movie. Like, and I don't think this is an actual problem. I think this is actually representative of skateboarding, where it's like when you're a fan of skateboarding, there's this like concept of being turned pro. So what's weird is you have a board sponsor, you have like a shoe sponsor, a clothing sponsor, like a wheel sponsor, a truck sponsor, but really only the board sponsor could turn you pro. Which is, like, why can't the shoe sponsor turn you pro?
Yeah.
But the board, that's always the pro thing. So the fact that guy makes boards, it's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And then in this movie, they win a contest, but then he's like, you're a pro. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are the terms of my employment?
Yep.
You know what I mean? What do you want from me? And that's the thing is that is kind of, not, I don't want to say closely guarded skateboarding, but not talked about. Like, there's this concept of like, oh, at this video premiere, they turned this dude pro. And it's like, so now you're pro, here's your pro model. But it's like, so dude, did you guys like, when he was an amateur, was there like a, hey, if you ever turn pro, this is what we would give you, this much money guaranteed, this much money on board sales.
Right.
But we'd expect you to have one ad a month, and then
Yeah.
we're going to shoot a video in 2 years, so you got to start filming for that. You know what I mean? And we want you to do this demo and this tour.
I mean, all
When
that
do you agree to being the
all
pro?
that shit happens before the big events. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that's when it happens.
But what I like about this movie is that it captures the idea that is never publicly discussed.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you're pro, you fucking won this thing, here's a
Yep.
board with your name on it.
Yeah.
Also, the design for his first pro model. Oh man,
Oh boy.
a spider with a naked lady.
That thing is scary.
The scene where he's showing it to Chrissy and it's like the really like 80s ballad keyboard music over it. He's like, look at my drawing. And she's like, wow, this is really beautiful. And it's a spider holding a naked chick.
There's no woman in her right mind that would fuck you after you showed her that. No woman.
No.
Also, I'm glad you brought out the sex scene, because I think this is another problem with the movie, legitimately. That is the least sexy sex
Oh,
scene
completely
I may have ever seen.
Completely unsexy.
Like, when he's unbuttoning her shirt, the look on her face is like fear.
Yep.
It's unsettling.
It really is.
And then they're in that RV. It just like, it looks smelly in there.
Oh,
It looks
yeah.
super hot and uncomfortable. It's just like, dude, this is not erotic at all.
You know enough like beach drenched people have been in that RV that it's just mildewy in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh.
you just know that there's a fine layer of sand on every surface. Yeah, I don't know.
Whose RV was that?
That was like his friend's RV. They're like letting him use it.
Man.
Yeah.
This is just they live in some real rat holes.
Yeah, it's a real rat hole existence. Also,
Definitely.
2 more things really quick. One, the meet cute while they're watching freestyle. That's okay. It services his point. But their first interaction is just like, just servicing the plot. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, we're both at this party. Remember me? I saw you like yesterday or earlier today, who knows when. Let's just go outside really quick. I'm gonna run to you. Come on, let's go outside. Okay, now we're outside. Let's talk. It's like, wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it'd be more interesting. Like, maybe if she got in the pit. Maybe if something like if the pit came over to them. Anything. But it's just like he just runs over to her. They just run outside.
Yeah.
For no reason, and then that's it. This is like, this is flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely. But then they have that so dynamic date where they go basically everywhere until 4 in the morning.
Which, again, is super fun, and it looks like, just like the skateboarding footage, it looks like they just turn on the camera and just follow them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one looks like actors, it looks like they just did it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe they did, I don't know. But, and the last thing is, when Hook is playing air guitar and everyone is like
Oh my
mesmerized,
gosh,
That was going in my nitpicks. But yeah, it's what a strange party.
that's more than a nitpick, dude. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Who's just gonna stand around and watch fucking Hook pretend to play guitar?
It's not like, listen, if it was just Velvet,
Maybe.
it'd be like, okay, she's just her fucking dumb boyfriend, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the whole gang. What are you gonna say?
Oh, it's literally the director, producer, guy who went and pitched it with the skateboard in the thing.
Which guy?
The guy in the behind the scenes, he's like, I took my skateboard and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, Andy, whatever. Well,
So whatever, whoever he is, I swear that when they were making the movie, he was like, yeah, that's me. Like, that is who he is. He's like, yes, I can play air guitar and everyone wants to watch it. Like, somehow he tried to project his fantasy
onto
into
the
that
screen.
moment.
That would explain it. Because outside of something like that, it makes no sense.
No.
It's like, even if you put a guitar in his hands, you could just dub over it.
Yeah.
It's like, did you guys not have a guitar? Where was it? Anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they were all just like, because there's a scene where when Corey sneaks up on the house and they're all just like pogoing and like moshing in a room.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense if they were
Right.
just all moshing in the room and then he was just like, you know.
And he's just like
Yeah.
throwing out some air guitar. But yeah,
Right.
they're all sitting and watching him do it.
And basically it's just to service the line, hey Chrissy, you missed my show. And then she says, I thought it never ends.
Yeah.
That's all it is there for. But you could have done anything before that and
Right.
you could have put that line in there. You could. Why wasn't he skateboarding?
Yeah.
And everyone watching that and being like, yes, you're so good, which would have actually built to something.
Right. He probably even could have just been flexing his muscles, and it would have been more something people would look at than I'm shaking really awkwardly playing.
1,000% yes. It could have been nothing. It could have just, she just walks in the room and he's like, hey Chris, you missed my show.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, what are you talking about? And then she's just like, I thought it never ends. Burn.
Yeah.
No. Instead, he's fucking playing fake air guitar and everyone's just like, he's so talented.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Very strange. Very strange.
Okay, if you want to get into, that was actually something wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make, it's not like, oh, that's just funny or that's just weird. That's terrible. Also, another thing that's terrible is when Bozo has like chicken on his face. Ugh. Turns my stomach. I don't even want to talk about it. This
Chrissy is
fun.
like, what is on his face?
Stresses me out.
I really thought it was some sort of boil or like he hurt
Let's
himself.
just move on. Let's just move on. It's awful. Also, you want to get into nitpicks? You guys got any?
Let's do nitpicks first.
Okay.
Get them out of the way. The dyed blonde rat tail was the worst thing
Listen,
on the planet.
Rat tails everywhere in that movie.
There's no fewer than 7 confirmed rat tails in this movie. It's the 80s, dude. It's the worst.
It's everywhere.
But yes, the dyed blonde one, I agree, is maybe the worst thing ever.
Of rat tails, the dyed blonde one is unequivocally the worst one. Unequivocally. Also, shitty slow-mo during the chase scene.
Lots of shady slow-mo. I was
Not-
thinking about you.
Not welcome. Not welcome here. The ramp locals ramp is dangerously narrow. That's not a wide ramp.
No, it's very makeshift. No question about it.
This is a really nitpicky thing that I found super awkward and uncomfortable. When the sponsor guy asks him to bite the wheel.
Yes.
I was kind of like, why? And then also, I don't know.
Also, you just bounce the thing off the ground.
Yeah, like, now bite it. Bite this
And he's
wheel.
like, this thing will survive a nuclear holocaust. Like, so I should put this in my mouth?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get out of here, dude. Don't be weird.
Yeah.
Chrissy is hitchhiking, coming back, gets off her bus to Indiana, gets a ride to LA. She's 362 miles outside of LA already.
Yeah. That bus was a bullet. That bus was a bullet train.
Apparently.
That bus was rocking at 100 miles an hour.
I did enjoy that it showed her only being picked up by women, though.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the old lady and then the woman trucker, because, you know, she tried the sexy leg thing.
And that woman trucker was like, ding, 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 dinner bell. Corey gets to the valley. He says, I need to train for the pool competition. First of all, it's a bowl. It's not a pool. A pool is something that someone built to be a pool. A bowl is something you make for skateboarding.
I brought this up because pools have the lips, too, so it's harder.
Thank you. Second thing,
There you go.
training, nerd. Third thing, he needs to train, but they're still fucking putting the top layer on the ramp. It's not even ready. It doesn't make any sense. Also, the nickname Ramp Local, like the daggers, dude. Daggers could be anything that those guys do. They could be a biker gang. Ramp Locals, like.
That sounds like a Parcheesi group that meets up every now and then.
Yeah.
Also, talk about lack of ambition, dude. You guys are never gonna travel.
No,
Nope.
and only ramps.
It only ramps. Dorks.
They probably hang out with the orphans.
They do. Also, 80s bikinis, man.
Oh, everywhere.
No love for the butt. None.
Some of the most unflattering bikinis.
Let's take something that's perfectly round and great to look at, and let's just try to make it as long as possible. Terrible.
And then let's separate your boobs in a really weird way, too.
Yeah. Just, no need for an underwire in any of this. Just flop them out. Do what you need to do. Also, at the Del Mar competition, there's a kid in a Diet Sprite t-shirt.
Diet Sprite.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Good splurge for the real Sprite t-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, Sprite t-shirt in general, but yeah, the Diet Sprite.
Diet
Diet
Sprite.
Sprite.
Yeah. All right, do you guys got any more nitpicks?
I got kind of a transition between nitpick and cool stuff.
Go.
I cannot decide if I love the announcer or hate the announcer.
Oh.
The guy who's like narrates things really closely in like a really weird way.
During the downhill?
There's the downhill and the first pool competition.
Oh, I like that. I like that announcer.
Yeah, I think it's just funny that he's so specific on so many
Yeah,
things.
and it's very like, in case you're not following the plot, let me summarize.
Yeah. So,
I also like how he names all of the tricks, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Judo air, very difficult.
also, a young Tony Hawk in that scene.
Yep.
In the blue t-shirt.
Yep, 14 years old, doing 540s.
There you go.
Ridiculous. Popeyes, fucking awesome.
Always good.
Hollywood Boulevard, completely unrecognizable. Right now we're like 3 or 4 like blocks up. It's like Hollywood Boulevard. I'm like, whoa. I wonder what, because like when I first watched the movie, it wasn't living in LA. So that Hollywood scene, actually this whole fucking movie, I was very looking forward to like, hey, where's this all gonna be?
Nowhere.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think they passed the Pantages at one point, but I'm like, that doesn't look like what's around the Pantages
No.
at all.
No. Well, yeah. I was about to describe what used to be next to the Pantages.
What was it?
It was a large parking lot, and then it was the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum where the W Hotel is, and another giant parking lot.
Parking used to be a lot better in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Also, one thing I really like about this movie is that structurally it's like a porno, but instead of sex, it's just skateboarding.
That's a good way to put it.
There's really long stretches of like skateboarding.
It's like, this is what we're here for.
yeah, it was what we're here for.
Like
Exactly.
Romeo and Juliet on a skateboard, that's just the frame to show like cool skateboarding.
Which now makes me also believe that you can make a Romeo and Juliet porn, and that would also work.
Totally would.
Yep.
I mean, you can probably make anything a porn, and it works.
Well, it works, it works because, naked people, but I'm saying, like, really works, like 3-act structure works.
Yeah. And porn with a plot.
Porn with...
Who would you cast as Mercutio?
In the porn?
In the porn.
I mean, I'm not too familiar with male porn actors, so I don't know.
All right.
We'll table this for next year.
The porn edition.
Also, they're called daggers, you guys. You guys, they're called the daggers.
The Daggers.
Come on. I mean,
That's as evocative as it gets.
you can't beat a crew name like the Daggers. The Jacks? Daggers.
A children's toy.
Dagger! And then they just yell daggers.
Yep.
It's fucking so good.
It's really good. My thing that I was like, yes. Girl took her heels off when she's running around. It was disgusting that she was barefoot, but Chrissy took her heels off
But-
for that whole date thing, and I was like, yes. That is reality.
But women are forced. I feel like women are forced in society to go barefoot on weird, gross surfaces sometimes. AKA every woman at every wedding you've ever been to.
Yes.
It's like the one point you see a girl who has bare feet, and you're like, "Girl, put some shoes on." And then you look at her shoes, and you're like, "You're fucked."
Yeah.
You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
But I quite enjoyed that she took her heels off, unlike some people in other movies. Jurassic World.
Is that the one you were referring to?
Also, they say that the downhill gets them $1,000, and the ramp locals want $1,000 to make a ramp, and the daggers want $1,000 to pay for the whole summer. I think that even in 2016, $1,000 could probably get you some sort of ramp. I don't know how much of a ramp, but something, right? $1,000 to keep you over the summer, like
A whole house of people.
a whole house.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are rolling at some point like 30 deep,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? Like,
There's a lot of people squatting in that house.
right. So like $1,000.
Yeah.
If it was like $10,000, I'd be like maybe. But they're spending a lot on beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you think they're making money now that they lost the thing? Meth?
Most likely.
I don't know if they're smart enough for meth.
No, they're not making it. They're just
Oh.
slinging it.
Got it.
Yeah. They're the middle.
Not Breaking Bad stuff.
No. They're going when the cops come. They're just getting fucked because they don't know who they get it from. They don't know where it's being made. They just get it from a guy in a hole in the wall in a rock in downtown LA, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Earlier in this podcast, I made a claim this is the best skateboarding movie of all time. Is that so, Kev?
Yes.
Chrissy?
It's the only one I've ever seen, so yes.
So by default,
By
yes.
default, that means yes. In the end, do you like this movie, and would you recommend it to anyone?
I was surprised how much I did like this movie. I do think it works, and I would recommend people who just love cheesy 80s stuff, people who love skateboarding, people who just want to watch a fun movie. I would recommend this in a heartbeat.
And just before we get to you really quick, I was trying to get Emily to watch this movie for the longest time when we were in college, and she thought it was a skate video. Even though I was like, hey, this is not a skate movie, this is an actual movie. And she finally watched it, and I'm like, so what'd you think? And she loved it, and I was shocked. So I'm like, oh, there's so much skateboarding and stuff, but it is a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, and there are definitely people I would recommend it to, but then I would also, certain friends, if they said, should I go watch it, I'd probably like, probably not your thing.
Now, I'm with Kev. I like this movie. I think it works. I would recommend it to anyone. Really anyone. And I just love the world that movie creates. Like, there's a world where like everyone skateboards. They go to Venice Beach, it's just all skateboarders.
Yep.
And a little pocket of breakdancing. And then, you know...
That dude's popping and locking like nobody's business.
Right. You just go for it.
That was
Because in real life, when you're a skateboarder, like, no one wants you around, right? It's like, you're loud, it's noisy, it's like disruptive or whatever. But this is a world where there's like these gigantic crews that people have, and like, you know, they have their own system of justice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I just don't understand why this isn't a bigger movie. Like, there's technically nothing wrong with it. It's well shot. The audio's clean. There's good coverage. There's no sense of Bobo cheapness anywhere in here, right? It feels like... It doesn't feel like they ever cheap out on you. You know what I mean?
Like a lot of those 80s niche movies, which have a lot of that Bobo cheapness, i.e. every 80s every 80s ski movie
Yes.
ever made.
Right, where it's like you see a guy
are just Bobo as hell.
coming up to a jump, and then a shot of just someone flying through the air arbitrarily,
Yep.
and no shot of the landing.
Yep.
Ski resort looking at you. So I just don't understand. Like, it's like it's interesting. It's about something interesting, skateboarding, in the subculture of skateboarding, and it has a working understanding of it underneath. Like all the hardcore skateboarders are like freestyles, lame, and breaking is so old. You know what I mean? And it's like, but then I just love that, and I just don't understand like why this isn't like everyone's favorite movie. Like, why isn't this on the level of like a Weird Science? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably because there's no boobs in it. But
That's true.
we'll get to my sequel and remake pitch in a minute.
Thrashin' 2.
Boobs.
Boobs.
You said that there's a cult of this movie. What can you elaborate on that?
No, I can't.
Just that there's a online passionate fan base.
There's definitely people that know about it. I was actually, the other day at my work, we were kind of talking about just movies in general. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned, like, oh, we're doing Thrashin' as our podcast. And my president and one of our account executives were like, we were just talking about Thrashin and Rad and like how great both of those movies are. So it's like people know about Thrashin, and especially people that have grown up in Southern California know about it.
Right.
So it's, I don't. There's the fan base is there, and like I just. Since we've been talking about doing it, I've yet to hear a bad thing about it, you know?
Right.
Nobody's like, Thrashin fucking sucks.
And then you watch it, and there's not a bad thing to be found.
There really isn't.
Except for all those bad things that we pointed out.
Except for the rat tails.
Oh my god. Does anyone have a crazy fan theory and or sequel pitch before we get out of here?
Dude, I would love to see Josh Brolin come back for a sequel to this. He can't be too big for a sequel now. You know? It's like older Josh Brolin, older Chrissy.
Hoverboards.
No.
No.
Hoverboards, get out of here. Although there could be a good analog scene where someone's on a hoverboard and someone's on a skateboard and he's just like, hoverboards. And he kicks him.
What if we kind of do like a Force Awakens type thing where Josh Brolin is like Luke Skywalker and he's been gone for a long time? Spoiler alerts. And like these younger skaters like try to go find him and learn. Like, dude, you bombed that hill, you know, in 1986, man. It's like, no, that was 30 years ago, man.
So I got two pitches for this movie. One of both of them are essentially remakes. One of them is a real-time Lego sequel, right? A la Jurassic World, a la Star Wars, where Josh Brolin now owns Smash Skates. He probably owns a different company. So he owns like whatever, Corey, Limited or
Corey boards.
Yeah, something like that. So
Worst name for
yeah, terrible. So those guys are all older, right? The daggers are still around and everything, and it's about the next generation, not next generation, 2 generations later. So it's like them, and then, but basically it's the same story, Romeo and Juliet on skateboards, but it takes place in 2016, and Josh Brolin, all the other actresses and actors come back and do the thing again, right? Bozo, the whole crew. That's my first pitch. What I really want to happen is just a remake of this movie that is a period piece in the 80s that is, again, essentially the same movie, but told from the Daggers' perspective, where they are the sympathetic heroes and the shitty Verabots are the antagonists.
Interesting.
And so it's, a chick, the Dagger chick falls in love with the brother or sister or whatever of someone who's, on the ramp locals, and they're just like shitty fucking rich kids who are just like, fucking Daggers, poor, living in Venice, fucking poor people. 80s Reagan shit. And MGM would do it because they're remaking all their movies. MGM, call me. Let's make this happen.
He's got the script right now, just so you know.
I am furiously typing this. So that's my 2 pitches.
I would go see the second one. Totally.
You want to see Josh Brolin reprise?
Yeah, I'd totally see Josh Brolin come back too.
Right.
So, but yeah, that second one is interesting. Velvet is the main character. Or,
Velvet on a skateboard. Where she actually
Velvet, who could actually.
And what's cool is that nowadays there are girl skateboarders who totally shred. So you could totally get those girls and put them in the movie and make you can make it work.
Totally.
Daggers. So. I mean, so I'm saying, when people walk away from this movie, you're like, you're gonna joke around people about the Daggers. No one's gonna joke around about the ramp locals.
No. You actually forget their name, usually. Like, partway through the movie, I was like, what are they called?
Yeah,
The local ramps?
Yeah, they're not anybody, you know what I mean? So that's my pitch. Alright, well, that's it for this episode. Chrissy, thank you for guesting on it. That hour and a half just flew by, didn't it?
Bye.
Join us on our next episode. Follow us on Twitter at Speaking Cinema. Stitcher, iTunes, rate, resubscribe. This was Jibber Jabber. This episode written by me, with hosting by me and Kev. Guest host, Christy. Music by Jeff Russell. For me, for Kev, for Chrissy, for Kev, for me. See you next time.
Go Thrashin.
Skate or die. Skate and destroy. Daggers for life.
Daggers.
Daggers!
I am your host, Leather Clown Outlaw. Fuck.
Leather clown.
I like leather clown.
Let's remember that for later. Leather Clown.
Leather clown.
Awful.